Utah. We have Launchup.
I'm glad to be here today with so many entrepreneurs. I've been involved with technology startups for about 20 years, venture-backed tech startups, always on the sales side, and I love it. I love the energy here. I'm going to talk about one concept today, and only one concept, and what I hope is that at the end of the 10 minutes that I have, that you can internalize what I'm going to talk about, and that you can actually believe it. And what happens is, I think that we don't just believe stuff when we hear it; we have to actually apply it. When we apply it, then we start to internalize it and believe it. And I have a really good friend who had a pretty bad drinking problem up to just a few months ago, and he found this group of people that were able to help him stop drinking. And it wasn't Alcoholics Anonymous or anything like that. It was a group that said, basically, you have control of your behavior, you have control over your habit, and you can decide today to stop drinking. And we had been working for about a year. He had a business, about a $10 million business, and it was fairly economy dependent. When the economy went down, bottom fell out of his business, and he had to kind of reevaluate. And we worked together to try to find his next thing. And I said, the most important thing for you to be able to find your next business or your next job is direct contact. Making direct contact with investors, making direct contact with potential customers, making direct contact with potential partners. And I think a lot of people talk about partnering up and using your network when you're starting a business and trying to get into the community. And I hope this doesn't sound blasphemous, but I think talking about our network is a little bit overrated. I think our network is important, but there's one serious flaw with everyone's network, and what is that? What do you think that is? That's one thing. You don't see them very often unless we get out of our silos, like Jeremy said. But another thing is that our networks are finite. So our network will get us kind of to a certain level, but it's not going to get us. It's not going to be there forever. And so making direct contact with people is extremely important. And so he called me a little bit ago, and he was excited because he's been looking for about a year for a job and for his next thing. And he said, "John, I am so excited. I thought about it one day, and I thought, hey, I used this group to stop drinking, and I'm not drinking anymore. And then I thought about what you said about making direct contact, and I actually believe it now." And he actually used the word, I internalized it. I internalized it, and I started calling hiring managers in local technology companies, and this is my current sales funnel. I've got my third interview with this VP of sales. I've got my second interview with this company, my third interview with this company. And he was telling me about, after a year of struggling, he told me about all of these different opportunities that he had right in his lap because he picked up the phone and he made the phone call. And so I thought that was interesting, and he was excited, so I thought it was interesting that he had actually internalized it and done that, and he had done that. And another quick example of that is I coach Little League Baseball right now. I coach my 9-year-old son, and I have never, ever had so many butterflies as when I coached my first game this year. I'm on my 4th game now, and I get butterflies every day now with these games. It's amazing. There's a scoreboard that lights up, and it's just kind of like high pressure. But it's a lot of fun. I love it. I love it. But I was doing some pitches with my 9-year-old son because he wants to be a pitcher, and so we stayed after practice, and he started pitching to me. And after about 20 or 25 pitches, he had only pitched about 2 or 3 strikes. The rest of them were balls. And he started to slump his shoulders, and he started to say, I don't know if I can do this. And he actually wanted to go home. And I said, okay, how about 100 pitches? Let's do 100 pitches, and you can go home. And so he started doing, we got to about 35 or 40 pitches, and he was really discouraged, and he just wanted to go home anyway. He didn't want to do 100 pitches. And I said, okay, how about this? How about if you pitch 10 strikes in a row, we can go home before the 100 pitches. It's either 10 strikes or 100 pitches. And then he got a smile on his face because he kind of liked competition, and he said, yeah, okay, I'll do that. So he started pitching, but he still wasn't getting very good. And then about 53 or 54 pitches into it, he pitched 3 or 4 strikes in a row. And then he hit a ball. And then a little bit more into it, he pitched 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10 strikes. And we were at about 60 pitches at that point. And he was really excited about that. And he came up to me, up to the batter's plate, And I thought for sure he was going to say, okay, let's go home now. And I said, should we go? And he said, no way, man. I want to pitch some more now. So we went back out there and we pitched quite a bit more. Why did he want to do that? Because, what's that? Because he was winning and because he got some reinforcement that if he actually does it, that it's going to work out. So here's the thing that I think, in my career, I've made about, and I actually tallied this up once, so I'm quite confident this is a realistic number. Not to be proud of this, but I've made about 200,000 outbound B2B direct contacts or cold calls in my career over the past 20 years. And I can say that in that time frame, I have never been disappointed with my results. I have always gotten a customer within maybe 100 phone calls or so. So here's my point. My point is, just like Nicholas, my son, pitching, pick up the phone and make the calls. Make the calls to the investor. Make the calls to the VC. Make the calls to the angel guy. Make the calls to that channel partner that you thought you should be partners with. Make the call to that employee that you want. Make the call to prospective customers and get them on the phone and see if you can actually get them to sign up. And better yet, if you're in the middle of developing a product right now, pick up the phone before you're even 25% done developing the product and get some feedback. Because I can tell you that I've been involved with a lot of technology startups over the years where we built the whole thing and then we picked up the phone and said, hey, market, do you want it? And the market said, nah, we don't want it. And we had already invested $1 million or a couple $1 million in the product. So even better yet, pick up the phone and make the call before the product is done. So the idea is, the concept is, in this situation, that if you want complete and total control over your startup, then the only way to do that is to take matters into your own hands and go out there and make that direct contact. And if you do that, I can guarantee through my own experience that you won't be disappointed over and over again. I've been doing this now as a sales outsourcing company for about 5 years, and with tech companies around the country, where I help recruit and manage salespeople, and it seems to work over and over again. So that's all I have. If we have, go ahead. We have 3 minutes. Okay. Any questions? Anything is fine about baseball, sales, anything? Why I have the same jacket on as on the picture, right here, this picture. So I got to go shopping. Yeah, go ahead.
So you said you were never disappointed in your 200,000 calls.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because I'm confident that you didn't always get a yes.
No, I didn't always get a yes, and so here's I appreciate that question. In fact, let me answer that. Let me answer that by telling you this little piece. It almost doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the guy says or the lady says on the other end of the phone. It doesn't matter. If people are not saying yes to you, it's not because you're bad. It's because you are not talking to the right people about the right thing. So either, and it's not necessarily your messaging. It could be just that your product is bad and nobody wants your product. That's a hard thing to actually swallow. That's why it's important to make, kind of test the market before you get the product done. But what I found is that, statistically in the long run, if I make about 50 calls, I'm going to set about 2 appointments for a discovery call. And if I get 2 appointments for a discovery call, I'm going to get one guy who actually goes into a sales cycle process that will probably buy from me. And so it's but it's not just smiling and dialing and doing the numbers. It's really important. It's I like to use the analogy of fly fishing. If anyone fly fishes, when you go out and fly fish, you tie the right kind of fly for the right kind of fish at the right time of the day for the right part of the river, and you cast it just the right way, and you let your line drift down so it's just looks as naturally as possible. And if the trout doesn't bite, do we feel rejected? We don't necessarily feel rejected. We don't get emotional about it. What do? We try again. We try a different fly. We try a different bend in the river. We try a different part of the river. We try a different time of the day. And so it's all about the right thing for the right person, because what is value? Value is dictated by the market. We have no inherent value, do we? We only have value to the extent that somebody wants what we have. So guess what? If we're talking to somebody and if they don't want what we have, what's wrong? We don't have something of value to that person, do we? Go ahead.
personal contact, visiting someone, calling and emailing.
Okay, yep. I actually think, and by the way, when I talk about direct contact, it doesn't mean that all the other marketing lead generation things are bad. They should all be used in a group, right? It all needs to be together in a group. So I think an email is excellent, that's a direct contact. A phone call is a direct contact, and a lot of times you reinforce it one with the other. You said email and phone call, and what did you say? And person and face to face. So just today I made direct contact with about 5 or 6 people before this started. That was a direct contact. Yeah, it's in a networking venue, but it's still a face-to-face contact. I went to a meeting this morning with one of my clients, and they had a little Cinco de Mayo party with their clients and their partners. I met 5 other people, direct contact today. And so face-to-face is beautiful. But I wouldn't necessarily go and knock on doors. So you can if that makes sense, but you want to be efficient with your time as well. And if you're tired of using the phone, yeah, go knock on doors if you want to. But I wouldn't recommend doing that in volume. Go ahead.
I'm a little curious. How do you turn the no into the information you need to determine what the problem is with your product or your pitch or whatever?
Okay, this is my last one. Are we out of time? So this is a good question as well. So number one, if they say no, don't worry about it, because a no is refreshing. Don't you love to hear no sometimes? Don't you just love to get off the hook? Just say, you know what, dude, you suck. Thank you very much. Now I don't have to talk to you anymore. That's fine. That's totally fine. Because then you move on, and sales cycle filtering is so important. But what the answer to that question is, if they'll give you enough time, if they'll give you 30 seconds or 60 seconds, you can ask them a couple of questions. What is it about? I mean, does this not fit? Do you not care? Why don't you care about this? And you can just ask them really, really bluntly and informally. Okay, so you don't like my CRM product? Why not? Well, because you don't have built-in stage advancements. And it's amazing. It's really important not to assume what they don't like about what you have, because I've been constantly amazed at why people buy. Oh, I bought your $500,000 piece of software because you had a funny little button here in the middle that was green that I really liked, and that set you apart from your competitor. Okay, I didn't know you had a thing for little green buttons. But if I had asked that question, I would have known that. So every person has their own lenses that they look through, so it's important to ask them each questions and find out what do they not like about you, and be okay with asking that questions. It takes some courage to ask those questions. Most of us don't like that feedback, but if you want to get good at what you're doing, you have to hear the hard feedback, or you're going to continue to be in sort of hopium is what they call it. You're just on hope without being in reality. I got to go now, right? I'm done. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.